If you want to just.
There we go.
Hello, everyone. We're just gonna give a few minutes for people to start joining, and then we'll get started, probably in about 3 minutes. Just want to let people start to file in here, but welcome. Harley, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, cool. If I move it, you can see it move?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, great. And do we have do do they have a Q&A? Great. Okay,
Yeah, just dropping a message in the chat now. There's a Q&A feature down at the bottom.
great. So before we get started, I'll just let everyone know we are going to have time today for a Q&A. If you would like to start dropping your Q&A questions throughout the webinar today, we will get to them. Potentially, we could answer some of them while the webinar is going on. I'm joined today by my colleagues Cameron and Lance, and they could potentially answer some of your questions while the webinar goes on, but we will do a Q&A at the end, and we will save, I'm sure, several questions for the end to go over there as well. But just want to let you all know that if you do have a question, go ahead and put that in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to get to that throughout the webinar or at the end. And we're just going to give like 1 more minute for people to keep filing in. And then we'll get started. Okay. Looks like we have a steady number here, so I will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. This is the Beyond the Meter informational webinar. My name is Alex Schulberg. I am a prize administrator at the National Laboratory of the Rockies, NLR. I am joined today by Mo Kamaluddin, the Director of Energy Storage at the U.S. Department of Energy, Office of Electricity. Today, we're going to be diving into program details, timelines, and opportunities surrounding this exciting program run by the U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Electricity. Before we start, I want to thank you all for your time and enthusiasm. This prize program isn't just about addressing technical challenges. It's mainly about fostering innovation and incentivizing groups to work together towards interoperable solutions. So people often ask us how fast our prize programs move. The answer is fast enough to provide impact, but slow enough to stay federally compliant. So we want this to go quickly and to award you all quickly. That's the whole point of a prize program, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But we appreciate your patience. We realize that this is a relaunch. Many of you attending today likely submitted in the first initial launching of this prize program. And I want to formally say that we will not be awarding those solutions that were submitted then. However, you are more than welcome to resubmit those exact solutions this time around. But we wanted to come back, and we wanted to come back stronger. This prize now has 2 tracks. It's multi-phase. There's lots of different very cool opportunities. There's vouchers involved, and the prize pool is dramatically increased. So we appreciate your patience, but we came back bigger and stronger and better. So we hope that you all will be appreciative of that. And we know we're very appreciative of your patience as we've been navigating how to get this back and relaunched, but we are relaunched. So we do appreciate that. Um, Before we just jump into it, and we're about to just jump into it, this webinar is being recorded. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. But without further ado, let's get started. Sorry, I'm having issues with moving slides. Okay. Here is what we will cover today. This is our roadmap for this session. First, we will start with a quick overview of DOE's Office of Electricity, and then we will do a quick overview of the American-made program itself. Then we'll dive into what the Beyond the Meter prize actually entails, eligibility, submission guidelines, timelines, and prizes on offer. And finally, as I mentioned before, we will leave room for questions to make sure you walk away with the confidence to participate. Don't hesitate to put your questions in the Q&A section, the Q&A chat section. Like I said, we will have some of my colleagues potentially answering those while the webinar is going on. And then at the end, we will go through them, and I will answer them, or my colleagues will answer them as best we can. Okay, so we'll just kick it off with Mo Kamaluddin. He is again, the Director of Energy Storage at the Department of Energy Office of Electricity, and he's going to be giving an overview of the Office of Electricity and their goals for this prize. So, hi, Mo.
Hi, Alex, and thank you for having me. And apologies for being a little late, and thanks everyone for joining. So the Office of Electricity basically leads the U.S. Department of Energy research, development, and deployment portfolio to strengthen and modernize our nation's power grid, making it reliable, affordable, and basically secure our electricity infrastructure delivery system. Within the Office of Electricity, there are 3 verticals, and energy storage is one of them. And our primary goal in the Energy Storage Office is to propel U.S. leadership in energy storage technologies under 3 core pillars: stabilize, optimize, and grow. Under the stabilize pillar, we are enhancing foundational, robust energy storage systems, especially when it comes to materials, advancing safe, low-cost, and earth-abundant technologies, and supplying and securing supply chains to meet those demands. As we think about how we optimize our system, we're also thinking about maximizing storage efficiency and readiness, especially when it comes to establishing rigorous validation standards, how to integrate next-generation technology to be both grid and end-user ready, and demonstrating innovative use case while prioritizing safety and reliability. And our last pillar here on growing the system is really how we think about how we adopt energy storage system through comprehensive storage analytics that will drive deployment, foster market expansion, more importantly, creating the workforce that will drive this national initiative. Now, as you think about these 3 pillars, it really forms an integrated approach as we think about how we will propel U.S. leadership in energy storage, but more importantly, from conception or ideation all the way to widespread adoption. If you could go to the next slide, Alex. Now, what this means for us as it relates to the Beyond the Meter Energy Storage Prize is really how to build out our optimization pillar, especially at the grid edge. And at the grid edge, I think I'll speak to the choir here on some of the challenges that we have. But from our perspective, Beyond the Meter Storage really addresses 2 key things that are dear to our mission in this department. The first is really affordability, and having Beyond the Meter Storage really looks at evaluating and optimizing energy uses right down to the customer level. Mom and pops, Joe Schmo of the United States. And then more importantly, when you think about aggregating DERs with storage, unlocking additional revenues that could be part of this affordability play. And let's not kid ourselves, in the United States, we are faced in some significant weather challenge and wildfire challenges. And storage provides that level of reliability at the edge, but more importantly, the resiliency to customers beyond the meter, especially during low frequency and high impact events. So why aren't we doing this? You know, a recent study by Woodmac stated that the US DER market is expected to reach $127 billion by 2028. Let me repeat that, $127 billion by 2028. And what is making up that market is projected to be 18 gigawatt of distributed connected storage. Now, here's the interesting fact. Of that 18 gigawatt by 2028, only 4% roughly will be beyond the meter storage. So there is a market gap, there is a revenue potential, and this is a niche space that we are looking to potentially move forward. But it doesn't come without its challenges and setbacks. When you think about where storage has been deployed to date, it's barely in a handful of states, majority in California, Massachusetts, and some other sparse states. And one of the things that we're seeing at the federal level as to hindrance to this deployment really encompasses what is written on this slide. The technical barrier associated with interconnecting and coordinating and monitoring beyond the meter storage. And more importantly, the lack of standards, procedures for interoperability and communications between different types of DERs. For such smart devices, we have a hard time getting these guys to talk, and we need to fix that. And when you think about the value stack of who's in the space of DERs, this prize is really trying to bring you guys together and solve this interoperability challenge. I won't get into the remaining challenges here because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But one of the key things I want to highlight is really around the regional differences associated with available incentives and compensation mechanism. We recognize this slide is not going to solve all of these challenges, and there's more work to be done in this space. And we are listening. But without your participation and your collaboration, we wouldn't be able to move the needle. So my last message to you is participate, innovate, work together as we leverage these behind the meter storage to optimally unlock the full potential of storage at the grid edge to support reliability and affordability for all Americans. Back to you, Alex.
Great. Thank you so much, Mo. Okay, so let's get into just a quick overview of the American Made program. The American Made program is what we call your fast track to energy innovation. This is powered by the U.S. Department of Energy and administered by the National Laboratory of the Rockies, NLR. American Made transforms innovative ideas into real energy solutions through prizes, collegiate competitions, technical assistance vouchers, and opportunities to work with a network of experts. American Made activates innovators, entrepreneurs, and everyday Americans to help science and technology go further. American Made helps innovators overcome hurdles to solve energy problems. It leverages public-private partnerships and incentivizes competitors with challenges to win cash prizes, earn vouchers, and collaborate with top researchers in world-class laboratories, academia, and industry. The American Made program has grown to over 100 prizes and competitions. We now have over 550 members of the American Made Network, which is an ever-expanding ecosystem of exceptional professionals and organizations designed to help competitors succeed using expertise, research facilities, and public-private partnerships, and other resources. We have awarded over 1,200 teams through prize funding. And let's kind of zoom out and talk about the bigger picture of the American Made program. Again, this is your fast track to energy innovation. but how? And that's by offering funding, mentorship, support from those network members, and the chance to connect with experts across the field. People always ask, who are these prizes for? And the answer is, these prizes are for innovators, problem solvers, and people who enjoy optional but highly recommended webinars. All right, so let's jump into the prize itself. Again, this is the Beyond the Meter Energy Storage Integration Prize. The stakes are high. As I mentioned before, we have now really transformed this prize from its original launch now with this relaunch, and there is a lot more money up for grabs. This has a $3.4 million prize pot of cash prizes and $800,000 in National Lab vouchers up for grabs. This is now a two-phase competition aiming to foster innovative ways to integrate behind the meter technologies with grid systems. Submissions are due April 30th, 2026, with teams getting various prizes across two tracks now, residential and commercial industrial solution tracks. And we're going to go into all of this in more detail. But we have now, as I mentioned, expanded the prize pot. This prize is now two phases and it offers two tracks. Before it was just residential. Now we have expanded it to residential and there is an industrial commercial solution track as well. This prize is where we combine big ideas with tangible impact. Solve a problem, build coalitions, and pave the way for smarter energy systems. Okay, as I mentioned, this competition has two tracks or focus areas, the residential and the commercial industrial solution track. The residential track, obviously, these are technologies tailored for single-family homes and apartments, enhancing flexibility and energy efficiency within communities and within those residential spaces where optimized energy systems can save serious investment costs. The competition goals, this is to foster coalitions to showcase products and strategies for integrating and managing behind the meter grid edge technologies alongside behind the meter energy storage systems. Solutions, at the final stage, solutions must be fully integrated behind the meter before interacting with grid technologies. Applicants can submit solutions to one of two tracks. So you can't submit to both. You need to pick what you believe to be your strongest submission. So you need to pick between if you're going to do a residential submission or if you're going to do a commercial industrial submission. Again, residential track is going to be for technologies for residential use, single family homes, multifamily housing, and apartments. Commercial industrial, that is for technologies with larger scale applications, commercial buildings, warehouses, manufacturing plants, and so on. Okay, so phase one is all about introductions. Here you'll develop an idea, identify coalition partners, and showcase a proof of concept for behind the meter integration. The key focus of this prize, demonstrating innovation while making sure you have a valid integration plan and early coalition formation for your phase two journey. Winners for this phase will get $50,000 upon selection. So when we announce winners, and that will be in the summer of 2026, we will announce winners, and those winners will receive a $50,000 check. And then if those teams then attend the 2026 OE Energy Storage Peer Review, which more details will be provided after that to those winners selected, once they attend and participate in a poster session there, they will receive an additional $200,000. So We want to really incentivize teams to attend that peer review. Also, you'll need to attend that peer review to be considered for phase 2. So $50,000 upon selection, and then after you attend the 2026 energy storage peer review and participate participate in a poster session, all of those details will be coming to those phase 1 winners. They will be sent an additional $200,000. Phase 1 winner, and I understand this will be a little complicated. All this is in the rules document. It's all broken down. I'm going to go into it even in more depth in the next slide, but there's just several steps here. And so, as I mentioned, first step, we announce winners. They get $50,000. Then they attend the 2026 OE Energy Storage Peer Review, participate in a poster session, receive an additional $200,000. All of those teams that participated that won and participated in that peer review are now eligible for a $100,000 National Lab voucher. That voucher will be awarded upon your submission of your phase 2 submission and your attendance and participation at the 2027 OE Energy Storage peer review. So in order to receive that $100,000 voucher that you became eligible for as a phase 1 winner, you now need to submit a phase 2 submission and attend the 2027 OE Energy Storage peer review. At that event, teams will compete by presenting their solutions through a presentation, incorporating both prototype and completed product displays and formal presentations. The scoring and evaluation of solutions will occur both before, so you will submit a HeroX submission in phase 2. And so judges will go in and score that HeroX submission, but then you will also take part in a presentation on stage at this 2027 event, and there will be scoring at that event as well, all leading to it will all conclude with an award ceremony at the 2027 OE Energy Storage peer review, during which winners will be announced on the stage and presented with large novelty grand prize checks and lots of photo ops with OE and DOE. So it should be a really awesome opportunity to get your solutions out there and have some great photo ops and win a bunch of money. The actual checks will be mailed after the prize administration has received the necessary information to distribute the prizes and vouchers to competitors. Okay, phase 2. This flips the competition into full production mode. You take your phase 1 idea and you just level it up. You show that it's a commercially ready prototype, and we give you a sufficient amount of time. It's somewhere around 10 to 12 months where you will be working on this prototype. You will be working on furthering your coalitions and your interoperability plans with other partners. That's a really big part of this prize, is working with other groups to make sure that your solution is an interoperable solution. We are looking for a kind of a turnkey solution for consumers that offers interoperability. As Mo mentioned before, that's a big problem right now, and we want to make sure that all of these grid edge vendors are talking together and making sure that their various solutions can work together. And so that's what's being incentivized through this program, and specifically in phase 2, we want to see a ton of work done towards that end, and we want to see, if possible, we want to see a commercially ready prototype ready for real world deployment. Here, you're going to showcase, again, interoperability, your fostered partnerships, and prepare to test your solutions at national labs to validate functionality and real-world solutions. So that's the whole idea with winning those vouchers. Vouchers are going to be awarded at the end of the prize program for the phase 1 and phase 2 winners. So you're not going to be doing your vouchers during the prize. You're going to be doing them at the end of the prize once it's completed. But the whole idea is that you will be using those vouchers to validate your solutions. Again, this competition culminates at the 2027 OE Energy Storage peer review, where winners will take home $950,000 in cash prizes, as well as an additional $100,000 voucher. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I understand that this may be a little bit confusing. There's various steps and various pieces of this program, and some of the awards are kind of staggered. And the reason for that is we want to make sure we incentivize folks to not only put in their Hero X submission, but also to participate in these OE Energy Storage peer reviews, where they'll be highlighting and showcasing their solution. So we want to make sure that you all are incentivized to do so. So again, phase one introductions, teams will be awarded. When they're awarded, they will receive a $50,000 check to all winners. In after, sorry, $50,000 upon announcement of those winners. Then there will be a 2026 OE Energy Storage peer review. This will be in the summer of 2026. More details will be coming about that, its location, your participation if you are a phase one winner. Again, we're going to highlight you with a poster session. All those details will be coming, and we will be sure to provide those to all of the phase one winners. After you attend and participate in that energy storage, the 2026 energy storage peer review, and do a poster session, you will receive an additional $200,000. As a phase one winner that has participated in the energy storage peer review, you then become eligible for a $100,000 voucher. This voucher, however, is predicated upon you successfully completing phase two. And by successfully completing phase two, we don't mean winning phase two. We mean that you submitted a Hero X submission for phase two, and that you attended and participated in the 2027 OE Energy Storage peer review, which will happen again in the summer of 2027. And more details will be coming as to what that participation will look like. In phase two, all phase one winners competing in phase two must attend and present their advanced products and plans at the 2027 OE peer review. This will be like an on-stage presentation. More details will come, but we plan to have all the teams there kind of, going on stage and essentially pitching what they've been doing for the last 10 months towards improving their phase one submissions, and to make their solutions interoperable, and to build coalitions and partnership groups towards interoperability of their behind the meter solution. Phase two winning teams will be awarded. Oh, I didn't mention, in phase one, there are going to be three residential solution winners, and there's going to be three commercial industrial solution winners. So 6 winners in total in phase one. In phase two, there will be 2 winning teams awarded. Oh, I have this number wrong. It says 900,000 to the 2 winning teams. It's actually $950,000. I apologize. This will be fixed when I send these slides around. But the 2 winning teams selected will win $950,000. And they will receive another additional $100,000 voucher that can be redeemed at a DOE National Laboratory to those phase two winners. Again, for phase two, the scoring and evaluation of solutions will occur both before and during the event. Prior to the event, submission materials will be reviewed, while during the event, teams will be evaluated based on their presentations and demonstrations. The process will conclude with an award ceremony where you will receive big novelty grand prize checks to those 2 winners. One winner from the commercial track and one winner from the residential track. Again, voucher eligibility. Vouchers will only be awarded to phase 1 and phase 2 winners who attend and actively participate in the 2026 and 2027 OE Energy Storage peer reviews. Voucher usage will follow completion of the full prize program. All of this, again, these slides will be, I understand that this can be a little confusing. We're happy to clarify how this process works and the timeline of all this. This is all broken down in the rules document. This slide will be provided as well so that you all can kind of understand when things are happening and who is eligible for what. I understand it's a little confusing, but again, we wanted to make sure that groups were incentivized to attend these peer reviews to showcase their solutions. Okay, so competitor eligibility. This is not comprehensive. This webinar in total is not comprehensive. Please go to the rules document for all eligibility. But I know that this is a question that everybody has is are we eligible? So I'm going to go over this a little bit. But again, all of these details are in the HeroX on the HeroX page in the official rules document. So first and foremost, if you're competing as a team, the online account holder submitting on your behalf must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. Additionally, individuals on your team must be legally authorized to work in the United States. Private entities can participate provided they're incorporated and maintain their primary place of business here in the U.S. And academic institutions must have federally recognized accreditation. Now, while this program is open to many, there are certain restrictions we need to highlight. DOE employees, whether current or within the last 6 months, along with their immediate family members or household members, are not eligible to compete. Similarly, federal employees, federal entities, and staff at DOE national laboratories cannot participate. Also excluded are individuals or entities publicly banned from doing business with the U.S. government. This includes those debarred, suspended, or otherwise excluded from federal programs. Furthermore, anyone engaged in a foreign government talent recruitment program sponsored by a country of risk or entities linked to such governments will be ineligible to compete. These rules ensure the prize remains focused on US-based innovation while safeguarding sensitive energy research. Again, for full details, I strongly encourage you to review the official rules document on HeroX. Okay, a quick timeline overview here. The prize launched on February 3rd, 2026, and was highlighted at DTech just in time. Phase 1 submissions close April 30th, 2026, with winners announced the summer of 2026. We will also be doing the peer review in the summer of 2026. More definite dates to come soon, and we will update that timeline on HeroX. Phase 2 launches August of 2026. Phase 2 submissions due June 2027, and the Phase 2 winner announcement and the OE 2027 energy storage peer review will happen in the summer of 2027, where we will announce the winners there and publicly as well. Okay, first and foremost, I've mentioned this and I'm going to continue to do so. Please read the rules document, read it back to front, and then probably read it again. Truly, everything you need to know to submit and to have a successful submission is put forth in that rules document. The rules document can be found on HeroX for download. If you have questions, more than likely, I am probably going to point you to the rules document. It's 99% of the time your question is going to be answered in there. You're more than welcome to ask questions. I will detail how you can do that. But it is very likely answered in the rules document. So please do yourself a favor. And if you have questions, go through the rules document thoroughly, and it will likely be answered in there. Submitting your submission may sound standard, but it's crucial to make sure you get the details perfect. So again, that rules document will give you everything you need. So just be sure to read that there. Again, that's on the HeroX Beyond the Meter, or Beyond the Meter HeroX page under resources. Then you'll want to prepare a thorough submission package that includes a cover letter, narrative, letters of support, and a summary slide. Again, here's a link, although all of you should be familiar with the HeroX page, because that's probably where you learned about this webinar and got that link. But the rules document will be there again under the resources page. Okay, so let's talk about what to submit and what we're asking for from you for phase one. So a complete submission package includes a cover page that is not public, a narrative, not public, a summary PowerPoint slide that will be public, and then optional letters of commitment or support that is not public. Reviewers use the scoring system below 0 through 6 to evaluate submissions based on overall agreement with specific evaluation statements that are provided in that narrative section in the rules document. Okay, so for the cover page, please include the required basic information that we asked for. That is, we want you to list the track that you are competing in, either residential solution track or the commercial industrial solution track. We want your entry title, your team name, a short description. We're looking for information on key team project members with contact info and links to their professional profiles. Any details on other collaborators or partners, if applicable, and then location details, city, state, and 9-digit zip code. Okay, and then the narrative. This is the meat and potatoes of your submission package. This is where you are going to outline essentially who you are, what your solution is, what your plans are. And so we ask 5 essential questions in this narrative for you to answer. The first is the problem. Define the problem your solution addresses. The next is solution and capabilities. So we're asking you to describe your solution and why it's transformational. The third is accomplishments and team. So we want you to highlight your achievements and your team's strengths. What separates your team? What makes your team strong? What makes your team capable of, providing the solution and working towards interoperability and, having a commercially ready, viable product at the end of this prize program. Question 4, plan, provide a clear roadmap to achieve your objectives. And then question 5, this is about the poster session. So we want to know, how would you highlight your team? What are your future plans summarized? And your solution, and how would you highlight that during the OE 2026 energy storage peer review event at a poster session if you were selected as a winner. So we want to know what's going to be on your poster. What's it going to summarize? Your answers or responses to the question must not exceed 2,500 words. And you can include up to 10 supporting visuals. That can be graphs, images, and figures. Please provide a word count at the end of your submission. Okay, so your submission summary slide. Create a 1-slide public summary introducing your team/organization and mission. Ensure the text is readable for print and projection. We ask a minimum of a 14-point font. We don't provide any template for that. Competitors may use any format, but we are asking essentially for a PowerPoint slide. And it needs to be a PDF when you upload that. And then letters of support or commitment. This is optional, and this will not be public. Attach 1-page letters of support, intent, or commitment. Focus on letters critical to the execution of your solution. We are looking for you to provide letters of support from people that are going to be partners with you, or people that have maybe support your solution, or gonna purchase your solution, or things of that nature. We're not interested in your neighbor telling us about how you shovel their snow in the neighborhood and things like that. We do appreciate knowing that you all are you know good members of your communities, but that's not going to be relevant and will not increase your score. So please keep these letters of support to letters that are critical to the execution of your solution, partners that are critical to the execution of your solution. We ask that each of those letters be just one page. You can have as many letters of commitment, support, or intent as you wish, but those letters must be one page each. And then we ask that you combine all of those into a single PDF for your submission. Okay, HeroX. Again, you all should be familiar with HeroX. There's a link on the screen, but follow the Beyond the Meter prize page. This will alert you every time that we make an update. So please be aware of that. It is possible that we may modify the rules. We may provide additional resources in the forum. That people should be asking questions there, and we will answer your questions on the forum. So if you want to learn more, you have questions, go to that forum. Somebody may have already asked it, and we may have already answered it. If not, ask your question and we'll answer it. So that HeroX page is where this prize lives. So all the resources, all the updates, the timeline, frequently asked questions, a place for you to ask your questions. And additionally, we just created a new resource in the forum for teams to use to help them partner. So one of the things that you'll see in the rules document is that we are going to attempt to create various tools for you to help facilitate partnership with other teams towards interoperability. What we have landed on is that on the HeroX page, under the forum, we have created a template for you to use to introduce your team, talk about what your solution is, and the types of teams that you're looking to potentially collaborate with, and to provide your contact details. If you're looking to make this interoperable and to have various partners, which is highly suggested, that is the whole point of this prize. If you don't do that, you're not going to win. We want to see teams that have successfully partnered and have interoperable solutions that work together. So in order to help facilitate those, please use that forum, fill out that information, go through the forum, see what other people have submitted, reach out to them, but use that as a resource there. Again, that is in the forum under partnership opportunities. And there is an example template of the information that you should provide that we drafted up for you to use. So please use that. Read the rules document. It's under resources. Please read the rules document. You will not be successful if you do not read the rules document. If you read the rules document and you answer all the questions in the narrative, you will be much more likely to win. Answer those questions that are in there. We give you the various types of questions that we're looking, or types of information that we're looking for from you in that narrative section. We'll also provide judging criteria as well, so you can know how the judges are going to look at this and what type of information they're going to be kind of comparing your answers to. So please use that rules document. This webinar is being recorded. We will put that on the HeroX update page along with the slides in a PDF for you all to use. So you can watch it again if you have any questions, or want some clarity, or thought, what, I wasn't exactly sure what he said. You can watch it again. So that will be provided on that HeroX page. Also on the HeroX page is where you will submit your submission. So please be sure to do that. You can start working on your submission now. I highly recommend start working on your submission now. Everybody does it at the last minute on the last day. The problem is if you have a technical issue, once that closes, it's closed. So we highly recommend submit early. And you can, once you submit, you can go back in and edit it up until the prize submission is closed. So work on it early. You can continue to work on it up until it's closed. So we highly recommend that you start now and start early. No reason to wait to submit until the last hour of this prize being open. Again, this prize, phase one submission closes April 30th, 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, what's next? Again, follow the challenge on HeroX, read the rules document, submit your materials by April 30th, 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, and questions. We will go through, Carly is going to read some of the questions that weren't answered, and then I will do my best to answer them. And then potentially Mo or Vinod could jump in as well to answer some of those questions. And then for those of you that are watching this recorded or don't have a question right now, please use the forum on the HeroX page to ask your questions. We will review those and then we will answer them for you. So please use that forum on the Beyond the Meter HeroX page to ask any questions that you may have. Carly just linked to that in the chat, but we're happy to start answering questions if you have any. While I'm going through, feel free. We're going to answer questions until there's no more, and then we'll end this webinar. So I thank you all for your time today. Really excited. I think this is such an awesome opportunity. We're really honored to have this amongst one of our prize offerings at the American Made program through the Office of Electricity. This is a really exciting initiative, and we're really stoked to see all the submissions that everybody submits and to award some money. So let's get started on answering some questions.
Yeah, we had quite a few come in. We've had some great questions. There are a few that are answered here that I might also repeat out loud just because I think they're relevant to the full group, but we'll go through the open ones currently.
Great.
So would solutions incorporating resource aggregation, i.e. VPPs or similar, fit under the residential category, or because of this scale, fit under the commercial/industrial?
I will open that question to Mo or Vinod. I am not familiar specifically with resource aggregation. I'm going to guess that would probably fit under the commercial industrial, but Mo, Vinod, happy to.
Sure, I think the short answer is it could fit in either one, depending on how you're setting the aggregation up. There are installations or examples where VPP, I'll try to stay away from the word VPP and use aggregation as a synonym, where aggregation has done at the residential sector in different distribution network, but this could also be done at the commercial industrial level.
Great, thank
Great.
you, Mo. Are solutions that are already commercially deployed accepted in phase one?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, if multiple organizations are involved on a project, can one organization lead the submission and handle the submission paperwork and another receive the funding, or is a single point of contact expected?
We are not going to dictate how you form your teams. You are all in charge of deciding when you're building out these partnerships and coalitions, if various partners say, well, we want to do our own submission, we'd love to have you as a partner, but we're going to do our own submission because we want to win the money. And then other partners feel the same way. Teams are allowed to submit their own submissions with other teams that are also being partners in this for this prize. The issue of payment in this, when you submit your submission, you need to submit who the prize is going to be paid out to. You determine that. It can be essentially whoever you want it to be, but we're not going to dictate that for you or lead you to make that decision. However you decide to, if a team decides, hey, we're going to have this group lead the submission and we're just going to be a partner, that's great. If multiple teams say, well, we all want to submit our own submissions and may the best man win, and whoever wins will still happily work with them as a partner, that's great too. I think there's numerous ways for teams to work together and to put forth submissions. But we're not going to dictate that for you. It's up to you all to decide how you'd like to do that.
So kind of in the same vein of that question, can someone be part of two different coalitions?
Yes, but you can't be you can only, like, a team can only submit one submission. So for instance, like, you can potentially be a partner on a dozen of these, but you can't be the lead on a dozen. You can only be the lead on one. So, and we certainly would be happy to see numerous teams working together for various of these submissions, whether they are the lead or they're a partner on 6 or 7 different submissions that other teams are putting forth. And again, use that HeroX forum, the partnership opportunities, so that you can list information about your teams, so that other teams can learn and reach out to you to potentially list you as a partner, and work together towards being interoperable.
So follow-up question there. Could we elaborate a little bit more on what we mean by integration and interoperability for this
Sure,
work?
I think Mo probably could answer this one best.
Yeah, sure. So that's a great question, and I'll answer it with a quick story of Miss McGillicuddy. And for those who have heard it, apologies, you're gonna hear it again. But for those who didn't, I'll introduce the issue that I'm tackling here. Picture Miss McGillicuddy, a very senior person living in a gentrified neighborhood that has up and coming population increase that's driving low growth. She has a single family house that is in prime area for utility programs such as demand response and energy efficiencies and so forth. And one day, someone hit on our door and said, hey, we have this great program and your house could be prime candidate for a solar PV system. Of course, she doesn't know what it is. She said, well, how much does it cost? And they said, well, it costs you nothing. And if anything, you can reduce your electricity bill. Transaction number 1, she said, let's do it. A couple of days later, another one hit on our door and says, hey, your home qualifies for this demand response program, and we're going to put in resistive water heater. We're going to change your light bulb. We'll make you a smart home. Transaction number 2, she has no clue what that means. And that's the reality of an average American. And she said, how much is it going to cost me? And they said, nothing. If anything, it's going to reduce your bill and put money in your pocket. She said, let's do it. A couple of days later, her son came over and said, hey, mom, you got a PV, you got a smart home. I think it's time for you to get an upgrade on your car. Let me buy you a Tesla. So now she has an EV vehicle, which is basically a mobile battery in her driveway. Transaction number 3. And then last but not least, an aggregation ESCO came by and said, I notice you have all these great things. We could pool this together and maybe put this into the market, unlock some market revenue for you, and ultimately give you money in your pocket. Transaction number 4. And the list continues, starting to get the gist of it. What that represents is 4 complex transaction, high transaction costs, separate maintenance and operation plans from 4 different potential vendors. The average American is not capable of handling that transaction, nor are they capable of understanding that transaction. And I noticed there is one question in the chat that I'll answer right away. Why would a commercially deployed product be eligible for a prize if there's no innovation? And when you tie that question with the interoperability question, what we are looking for is one transaction, a simple solution that addresses each value stack of the DER and have them all communicate. So the likes of Ms. McGillicuddy will deal with one vendor and achieve the full spectrum of that DER transaction, which we're calling the interoperability aspect of things. Hopefully that answered the question.
Great, thank you, Mo. And if there's any follow-up on that question, feel free to add anything else to the Q&A, but that was a great example. Thank you. Talking about vouchers, how early will a voucher be available to winners? This strongly affects the opportunity to include a DOE lab in the project upfront.
Yeah, so the way that this will work is in phase 2, the phase 1 winners that are going to be, down selected and working in phase 2, we will work with you to select a lab, or match make a lab essentially with you. We'll provide you resources so that you can select a lab that you think best provides the capabilities that you're looking for. Again, we're really looking for you to do, because these vouchers are going to be awarded at the end of the prize program, to do validation and testing. But that in phase 2 is when we will help you with matchmaking, and when you will communicate with these lab researchers to develop a statement of work, a scope of work of this is what we're going to do when the prize is completed. This is the work that we're going to do. I hear you that the voucher would be great to do during the period. There's a couple issues with that. One is fairness. The reality is that some teams may say, hey, you know what? We didn't get as much value as we had hoped out of these vouchers. We do our best to team you up with the best researchers and the best capabilities, but everyone is going to have a different viewpoint of the value that they got out of that. And so we do not want to open up the door for teams to say, well, we didn't get as much value as X, Y, and Z team, and that wasn't fair. So we don't want to do it during the actual competition for that reason. Another reason why we don't want to do it during the competition is you have enough going on, to be totally honest. More than likely in phase 2, you are going to need to be taking a product from potentially prototype to commercially viable. You're also going to be needing to work with a plethora of partners to work towards interoperability. You have about 10 months, maybe 12. I'll have to, the timeline is potentially going to adjust, but you'll have right now, it looks like about 10 months to do that. Typically, to get a voucher in place takes several months. It is a contract with a national lab. We try to speed these things up as best we can, but realistically, in 10 months, with all the other things going on, the work will not have been completed. And then finally, if we were to do this during phase 2, some teams would get further along in their vouchers than others. That's just the reality of how this would work out, which again is not fair. So we still think there's a ton of value in National Lab vouchers. We just think that the best way to use these vouchers is at the end of the program. Additionally, these vouchers are great not for just validation and testing, but they create relationships with these national labs. And so we want to have a way of saying, hey, this prize is over, but we still care about these solutions. We still care about your team. We want to see you all grow, and we want to continue that relationship with you all. So typically a voucher is a year long. That's another year that you're in our ecosystem past the completion of this prize. So, and you'll be working with national lab researchers. You'll be creating relationships with them. Who knows what that could lead to? Potentially more work that you want to have done, that you may end up using your prize funding for. You may create a relationship with a researcher, and they may have some funding opportunity that they think you'd be perfect for, that they'd like to work with you on. There's a dozen different potential opportunities that can come from that. But trust me when I say there's been a lot of thought as to when to best award these vouchers, and we have landed on at the completion of this program. However, again, in phase 2, we are going to be connecting you with national lab researchers, and you are going to be developing a statement of work. So there is going to be some voucher work that will be going on during phase two. We want to see what is your voucher going to look like when you do your phase two final submission. But the actual work itself will not start until the prize is completed. So we hope that you all understand our logic as to why we set it up that way.
Great, thank you, Alec. We are at the end of the webinar. So all of the slides that were presented today and a recording of the webinar will be available on HeroX, and that link is a couple places in the chat. And then we will also follow up with these questions and post the answers to them as well. So if there is anything that wasn't addressed, feel free to use the forum. And then Alec, anything else?
No, nothing else. I can quickly answer these two. One question, Beyond the Meter and Behind the Meter are the same. Beyond the Meter is the name of the prize program. Behind the Meter are the solutions that are targeted for this program. Beyond the Meter is just a great name. So you don't want us to involve a DOE lab early, correct? That's your kind of your own determination. I would say no. I mean, particularly, I mean, you know, we don't want lab folks, again, they're not eligible to can be competing here. You know, we're not asking for you to jump ahead either. So in phase one, I don't want, we would prefer, please don't start reaching out to researchers talking about a potential voucher that you could maybe win in phase one and already getting ahead on the scope. All that's in phase two. That in phase two, that's where we want you to be doing that. Additionally, like when you win phase one, if you win phase one, you will receive a voucher as long as you just attend the events that we're asking you to attend. So those researchers will actually receive a voucher. If you're reaching out to them in phase one, you likely could not win phase one and there would be no voucher. And so that researcher is kind of potentially scoping work or working with you for potentially nothing. And we really want to respect our researchers' time. So unless you already have a relationship with a national lab that you'd like to shortly highlight, you can do that in your narrative. I would ask that we don't receive letters of recommendation from national labs. Typically, those are void in phase one, and I think we will likely consider those void in this phase one. So no, you don't need to start going ahead. That will all happen in phase two, and we will assist you with those efforts. Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you, Alec. Thank you, everyone, for joining today.
Thank you all.